All right, let's talk about a really critical, but honestly often misunderstood piece of the US tax puzzle, the ITIN. So think about this for a second. It's a massive logistical puzzle, right? You've got millions of people who are required by law to file and pay US taxes, but they don't have the one thing we all think is essential for that, a social security number. So how on earth do you get them into the system? How does that even work? Well, the answer is another 9-digit number, the ITIN. But here's the thing you absolutely have to understand. This is not just a replacement for a social security number. Not at all. It's a super specialized tool and it comes with some incredibly strict rules. I mean, just getting one is a challenge, but using it the right way, especially to get the tax benefits you're actually entitled to, that's where it gets really, really tricky. So let's break it all down. Okay, first things first, we have to be crystal clear on what this number is designed to do, and maybe even more importantly, what it is absolutely not for. So, the IRS rolled out the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, the ITIN, way back in 1996. And its purpose is incredibly specific. I mean, it really only has one job: to be a tax processing number. That's it. It's the key that lets folks without a social security number, like resident and non-resident aliens, actually follow US tax law. It is purely 100% about tax administration. And this is probably the most important thing to get straight. Let me be clear. An ITIN is not a work permit. It has zero effect on your immigration status. It doesn't get you a single penny in social security benefits. And even if, say, a bank accepts it for something, the IRS could not be more clear on this point. It is not supposed to be a form of ID outside of the federal tax world, period. So the big question is, how do you actually get one? Well, it's not like you just fill out a form and send it in. This is a really precise process. I like to think of it as a gauntlet, where every single piece has to be in exactly the right place. Let's walk through those rules. Okay, so the core application is this 3-part package, and this is key, it all has to be submitted together. You can't do it piecemeal. So step 1, you've got your Form W-7, that's the actual application. Step 2, you have to attach a valid, fully filled out federal tax return. You heard that right, you can't just ask for an ITIN on its own. You have to apply with a return. And then step 3, you have to prove who you are with original document. And this right here, this is a huge deal for a lot of people. We're talking about mailing in your original critical documents, your actual passport, your national ID card. And then the IRS holds onto them for, get this, 7 to 11 weeks. And that's on a good day. It can be even longer during tax season. I mean, can you imagine being without your passport for 2 or 3 months? For so many applicants, that's not just an inconvenience. It's a massive source of stress and a real practical roadblock. Okay, this brings us to a really crucial, actionable piece of advice. You can get help with this process from an IRS authorized acceptance agent. But listen closely, because there are 2 kinds, and the difference between them is gigantic. You've got your standard acceptance agent, or AA. They'll help you with the paperwork, which is great, but you still have to mail in your original documents. But then there's the certifying acceptance agent, the CAA. These agents have the power to actually verify your original documents, like your passport, and then hand them right back to you on the spot. This is an absolute game changer. It takes the whole risk and anxiety of mailing your passport completely off the table. All right, now we're getting to the absolute core mechanism of the ITIN system. And this is the part that is not obvious at all when you first look at it. When it comes to qualifying for certain tax credits, pretty much everything comes down to a single critical date. And here is that rule, word for word, straight from the IRS. Let's really unpack this, because this sentence right here, this is the key that unlocks the tax credits. What it's describing is a special provision that basically lets the IRS backdate your ITN. So here's how that cause and effect plays out in the real world. Imagine you mail your complete application, the W-7, the tax return, your documents, on tax day, April 15th. The IRS bureaucracy grinds away, and they don't actually get around to issuing your new ITIN until sometime in June. But, and this is the magic, because you got your application in by the deadline, the law treats your ITIN as if it was issued back on April 15th. This isn't just some little technicality, folks. This retroactive effect is the entire mechanism that can make or break your eligibility for thousands of dollars in credits. So, now that we've got the timing down, let's connect the dots to what really matters: the money. Filing with an ITIN unlocks some important financial benefits for sure, but it also slams the door on others. Knowing the difference is absolutely essential. This chart really breaks it down for us. First, the big ones they can't get. I-10 filers are completely out for the earned income tax credit. And at least for the rules from 2018 through 2025, they're also out for the child tax credit, because that requires the child to have a social security number. But here's what they can get: the credit for other dependents, or ODC, and the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is for college expenses. So that credit for other dependents is a really big deal. It means that for every qualifying kid who doesn't have an SSN for the child tax credit, the filer can still get this $500 non-refundable credit. Now, if you have a family with a few kids, you can see how that $500 per child starts to add up really fast. And here's another one of those hidden traps in the process, a really critical one. Say you're using tax software. You enter a dependent, but you leave the taxpayer ID field blank because you're applying for it. Well, a lot of software programs will not automatically check the box for the credit for other dependents. The IRS actually puts out warnings about this. You have to go in and manually make sure that box is checked on the tax return you send in. It's literally one little click that could cost you $500 if you don't know to look for it. Okay, so you go through all that work to get an ITIN, but here's the catch: it's not necessarily permanent. There are ways it can get deactivated, and if you don't know the rules, the fallout can be fast and it can be expensive. So, what's the main rule you need to know? It's pretty simple. If you don't use an ITIN on a federal tax return for 3 years in a row, poof, it automatically expires. Use it or lose it, basically. And if that wasn't enough, a few years back, the 2015 PATH Act basically threw a wrench in the system. It just declared that all ITINs issued before 2013 were going to expire and would need to be renewed. This created this huge wave of required renewals, and it meant millions of people suddenly had this extra complicated step just to keep their tax number active. So what's the damage when this happens? What if a dependent's ITIN expires and you don't even realize it? Well, the impact is very real, and it is not small. Just in the 2022 tax year, the IRS sent out math error notices to almost 22,000 taxpayers for this exact reason. They tried to claim a dependent whose ITIN was no longer valid. And these weren't just friendly reminders. No, those notices directly wiped out over $6 million in other dependent credits. That's $6 million that these families had claimed and were probably counting on. It just goes to show you how a seemingly small procedural problem, just an expired number, can hit your wallet and hit it hard. Which really leaves us with this one big question, right? Look, the ITIN system is obviously a necessary tool for the government to administer taxes. Nobody disputes that. But when you add up all these hurdles we've talked about, the fear of mailing your passport, the tiny little software checkbox that can cost you hundreds of dollars, the expiration trap that's costing families millions, you just have to step back and ask, is the system itself, in all its complexity, accidentally creating huge barriers for the exact same people it's designed to help comply with the law? It's definitely something to think about.